This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, I was just doing my normal set, and then like I keep looking at the crowd, and there was like 12-year-olds there. I was like, what?
This is Lauren Engel of Sidewalk Talk. Today I'm here with PHASEONE.
What's up?
So your dad actually connected us. Oh, shout out to your dad.
He did, actually.
He's like the OG one who found like Sidewalk Talk. We were like emailing back and forth. He liked my interviews.
Yeah. He definitely follows my socials and sees what all like my colleagues are doing and everything.
Yeah.
So then,
he's like, why is it like get my son on? I'm like, yeah, duh, of course. Of course PHASEONE on.
Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be watching this.
Yeah,
he's like,
he will, yeah.
Coordinator.
That's it.
So originally born in Sydney?
Sydney, Australia, yep.
Like inside the city or like the outskirts?
The place where I grew up was kind of like maybe an hour north of the city, in a pretty like foresty area.
Oh, what's it called?
The town was called Hornsby, so it's kind of like it was like a small little village at the time, but now it's kind of like grown into like this bit of a hub area. But but then when I was a teenager and stuff, I moved closer to the city and grew up around there.
What did your parents do?
Well, they're both retired.
Yeah, back then.
My dad owned a business, like an IT company. Oh wow. And my mum was a childcare worker.
Where do you think I did a creative side from? Your mom?
Probably my dad's side. Like.
Oh yeah.
I think it skips generations. My dad's dad was a pianist.
Oh wow.
And most of that side of the family has some sort of like musical passion or background. Like my uncle loves his drums and things like that. So I think that's kind of where I get the musical side from. Like I can't think of anyone in my mum's side of the family who has any sort of musical knowledge or anything.
Did her dad's side do it as like a profession or more of as a hobby?
It was more of a hobby. Like my grandpa did like a few gigs here and there, but it wasn't like a full-time living or anything. It was more just like the love of it. And like he probably got paid here and there, but it wasn't like his full-time job or anything. Yeah.
Is he the one who taught you piano?
Some of my earliest memories is me in my grandpa's like studio playing his piano. Like he didn't teach me, but like say that's probably my earliest memories of actually playing piano as like a 2-year-old kind of thing.
Did you like piano from the onset? Yeah,
basically. Like whenever there was any sort of musical instrument around growing up, I was always just on it constantly. Oh wow, I
feel like that's so rare actually.
Maybe, yeah, I feel like it's good to have like the options around. So my parents bought me like this tiny little Casio like child like keyboard, and I was just on that constantly from like age of like 3 or 4 like onwards.
So you were beat making already?
Yeah, basically. And then like when I was about 7, then I picked up the guitar and started getting guitar lessons and piano lessons as well.
Oh wow. Yeah. Did he ask for the lessons?
I think so. I can't remember actually. I think so.
That's really cool. Wow. And then for like guitar, is it because your friends around you were also getting into guitar bands, or were you the one before? Was it before that?
I think one of the kids at school got an electric guitar, and that kind of sparked my interest in just wanting to explore other instruments. So I did, and then I think like growing up, like when you're that age, like the kind of songs that you're learning are very kind of like basic, kind of like almost like nursery rhyme kind of style songs. And I wasn't really interested in that, so then I kind of like lost a bit of interest because it wasn't that interesting to me. And then I think it wasn't until I became a teenager where I kind of rekindled my interest for these instruments, and then like started playing like rock songs and like songs that I was actually interested in, you know.
Yeah. Were they just your classmates that you formed bands with?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Were you performing with them?
Yeah. So like my first band that I started was in high school. It was just like nothing serious or anything. Just a bunch of classmates having fun, really. Once we finished school, we started doing a few gigs around Sydney. for like no money basically, traveling around like lugging all that gear.
Was it original music or covers?
Yeah, it was all original.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Were you helping with the songwriting and stuff too?
Yeah, it was like a collaborative effort, but I'd say I was probably doing like 80% of the songwriting. And then I also, like, throughout the years I'd been interested in production and audio engineering as well, so I had a really basic setup at home, so like whenever like my friends or my friends' bands wanted to record, I'd bring them over to my house and I'd like produce their albums or like EPs and stuff like that, and like it was very basic quality, but like it was enough to get by for like a demo kind of thing.
The band music, is it out? Like, can people find it online?
Probably not. No, that was like way before streaming was like really a thing.
Yeah.
Like we had like a MySpace page. That was basically as far as it went, and like we had a few songs up on that, but I'm pretty sure those pages are being taken down. So.
And then how did you find EDM?
Yeah, so then in like 2010, 11, I heard dubstep for the first time, just because I saw lots of my friends online posting UKF videos. So I was like, one day I finally decided to be like, all right, what is this stuff they're posting? Finally decided to check it out, and what was the song? It was a Gemini song. It was his remix of Hadouken, Oxygen. And I heard that and I was like, wow, what is this? This is like, I've never heard anything like this before. And then, so then I just immediately started like researching what is dubstep, like what is this sound? And then I just came across like Skrillex and like all the other ones that were like popping off back in like 2012. And then, I decided to download Ableton. That's what I heard all the electronic artists were using.
Before that, weren't you using like PlayStation or Nintendo?
I had something on, like when I was like really young, I had like a PlayStation game, which was like Music Maker or something. But then like when I was actually like recording bands, I was using Pro Tools, which is like industry standard for like most like audio stuff. But then I actually tried making dubstep on Pro Tools, and like it doesn't really do very well for MIDI at all. So then I switched to Ableton, and then just started messing around, basically just experimenting. So that was kind of the start of that. And then I quit the bands and started the name PHASEONE and started releasing music. Just for like, I started basically putting it out for free on SoundCloud originally.
How old were you at this time?
It was like 8 years ago, so I'm 30 now, so I was like 22-ish.
Oh, so this is when you were like in audio engineering school?
I graduated audio engineering school when I was like 19, so this is probably like about 3 years after that.
Looking back, do you think you learned a lot from audio engineering schools? Like for people watching, do you recommend them going?
Yeah, I did. I really did. A lot of, I mean, like, I know these days there's like schools like Icon, which kind of, they're more focused on like electronic production and stuff like that. But audio engineering kind of like delves more into the audio world, like where there's like, in terms of like live recording and using like an actual like big desk and Pro Tools, which is like pretty much the industry standard for most things audio, especially when you move into like film and television as well. Yeah.
And with that degree, like, were you planning on working behind the scenes, or did you know from the onset you wanted to be like your own solo artist?
Back then, and that was like 2007 that I did that. So back then I was just kind of, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something to do with audio. At the time, I thought I was just going to be in a studio, like recording bands. That's what I thought, but I was wrong, I guess. EDM just kind of changed my life for the better, I guess. Yeah.
How did you start pushing PHASEONE music originally?
Well, originally it was just for fun. So it was just like free releases on SoundCloud, so it was like as like a free download kind of thing. But then I guess a few labels kind of like sparked some interest, and then. Then I started releasing music. Like my first EP was on Firepower, which was Datsik's.
How long did it take from the beginning of your name to?
Probably like 2 years.
Okay.
Probably like 2 years to actually get like a actual decent like label release. before that, there was a few little labels I released on, but it wasn't anything like serious or anything. But then once the Firepower thing came along, then I basically started releasing with them for about about 3 years or something. I did 3 EPs with them, 3 or 2, 3. I can't remember. It's so long to remember.
Did you collab with Datsik or work in the studio with him at that time?
We always talked about working on something.
Yeah.
And that never happened. And probably obviously never will happen now. But, yeah, we used to hang out a bit. Like whenever he was in Australia, like whenever he was touring, we'd hang out, and it was all chill.
Actually, in Australia, where there are a lot of other producers that had similar style, because I think like back then it was it before Flume's type of music?
Yeah, I mean, like Flume kind of popped off in like probably around 2014 or something.
Yeah.
That was kind of like at the time of the Australian sound kind of like wave, like future bass, whatever. But before that, like in terms of like bass music, there's a bunch of producers, but like realistically, like I can only name about like 5 bass music artists that have really kind of popped off,
I feel like it's so rare. It's been like a lot more like Flume type.
Yeah. I mean that stuff definitely sells better for sure. It's more accessible. But in terms of bass music, there's like me, there's like Mastodon as of recently, because he's finally of age, so he can like travel and play shows now, which is great because he's killing it. And then there's dudes like Hydraulics, he's a bit more on the trap side, but still bass music. And then another one of my friends, Oski.
Oh yeah.
Chibs, you probably heard of Chibs before. He's from Australia. He's I think he's trying to get his American visa now, so he's like doing things.
Were you guys all hanging out?
Yeah, like we're all friends from way back. Like me and Hydraulics, he's like probably my day one. Like,
oh wow.
Like I used to go when I first started going out, before I was like actually probably making music. Like I started just attending dubstep shows, and he was the guy that was always DJing. So I just like introduced myself to him online. I was like, "What's up, bro? Like I like your stuff," and then we just became like friends. And then it's just funny because now we're like. We both have the same manager. We both have the same agent.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. Like 8 years later, we're still like we just played a show together like 2 days ago in Atlanta.
Awesome.
It's like, you know.
Actually, one of the first places you DJ'd wasn't at Chinese Laundry.
Yeah.
I've actually been there.
You've been there?
Yeah.
What?
I saw Anna Luno there.
No way.
Yeah.
There you go. What did you think of it?
Isn't the ceiling like really low?
Yeah.
Yeah. So many tall Australians, and I'm like, you're just gonna jump and just hit the ceiling.
Yeah, I know.
But it was so crazy.
Yeah. So
I think the ceiling adds an effect that it's like a tight room.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. that was basically the first place I started performing in. Just as like a local DJ, I guess, like that.
For your day job, you were working like in TV.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I basically from like 2008 till about 2 years ago, I had a day job where I was like, my job was, my position was called a presentation coordinator, and my job was basically to watch over like the cable company in Australia, which is called Foxtel. So I basically had to monitor all the channels that were like being played out, and like make sure it was running smoothly and fix any. It could be, yeah. There's a lot more interesting side of like the live TV side of it. It was a lot more fun, where you got to like control what was going out and like insert graphics and like change like roll breaks and stuff like that.
If it wasn't for music, do you think you would be still doing that?
Probably. I mean, hopefully not, but probably. I don't know. I think now that I've like took the leap and quit that and like moved to America, and now I'm doing music full time. I think like now in my state of being like mine now, I can never go back. Yeah. And I'd find something else, or like something more related to like music or audio kind of thing.
Yeah. How was it like when you were still doing this job? Were you like taking long time off work to tour, or? Yeah,
so especially in the later years when like when the Phase One project was kind of like becoming like a thing, it was basically having like 2 full-time jobs. So like the good thing about the job is I would get like 5 days off at a time. So like I'd work like day shifts and night shifts, but I'd have like 5 days on, 5 days off.
Okay.
And then so like during these like days off, it gave me like plenty of time to like go away for a few days and like do some shows and stuff like that. So it kind of worked out, but then in the later years, especially when like I had to start taking leave to like go touring internationally, that was like when it started becoming like pretty intense. And then it got to the point where like I did my first American tour, and I was like, there's a big market out here. Maybe this could become a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe this could become like an actual job. And then I quit and just took the leap.
Did he kind of already saturate the Australian market? Did he like
that
just tour
too?
there
Yeah,
too much?
yeah, that too. Like these days, like I can only go back to like Australia or like pretty much anywhere. I can only play like any city like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't want to like
too much.
Yeah, yeah.
And didn't you tour with Excision? Was it in Australia they did like an under 18 party?
Oh yeah, Jesus. Yeah, so when Excision came to Australia in, I think 2016, I was his direct support for the whole tour. Yeah, and one of the shows was like an underage party. It was like...
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, no, it was like the
How did that even happen? Like they just...
I have no
idea. I know people in Australia like to party really young.
Yeah, I mean they do, but like this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like I was just doing my normal set, and then like I keep looking at the crowd, and there was like 12-year-olds there. I was like, what? Like it made no sense. Like, but
how did it even like come together? Do you know?
I could not tell you how that came together. Like that's for sure a first. Like,
but they were their parents.
I don't think so. I mean
that's crazy. 12-year-olds in bass music. I mean,
like maybe
that's like a birthday party.
Like maybe they had to have like an older brother or something with. I have no idea how it worked, but it was like there was probably like 300 or 400 kids like packed into this room, and they were like...
That's insane.
Yeah, I was more scared for their safety more than anything. They were like jumping off each other and like doing crazy shit. It was something else.
Yeah. How did you connect with Never Say Die?
Disciple?
Never Say Die.
Never Say Die?
Yeah.
How did I connect with Never Say Die? Well... The first release I did with them, I think, was a collab with Megalodon.
Okay.
And then I just kind of, after that, they kind of asked me to work on remixes for a few other artists. So I did that. That's kind of it, really. Like, I've only worked with them a few times.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Who was the first person that you met from Disciple?
Dodge.
Okay.
Yeah, so he used to come to Australia quite a lot because, well, at the time his girlfriend was living in Australia, so he used to come there, and my manager was his agent, so like he'd tour him around quite often. And then yeah, so I would just go and hang out with him at shows, and this is before I was like on the label. We'd just hang out and like whenever he was in Sydney, and then like he knew that I was producing, so I started sending him my stuff, and then. I guess he liked it, and the rest of the guys liked it, and then I think it wasn't until I kind of started doing the metal step stuff, like introducing metal into dubstep. I think that's when they were kind of like, all right, this is something new. So that's when they kind of like signed me on as like a full-time artist. Mm-hmm. But that probably took about 2 years of like just knowing them and like getting to know them, and then like in that time I met Ross, the other owner as well. Yeah. But yeah, we just became friends first, and then it kind of took on to a different level. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you describe the personalities of the main crew of Disciple for Virtual Riot, for someone who hasn't met him? Like, how would you describe him to someone?
It's just a crazy German, you know. No, he's great. Like, the good thing is like everyone's super nice. Yeah. Everyone gets along, which is like, I think super hard to find like in this industry, because when you have like, I think we have like 16 artists or something now. Yeah. And like some of them are duos, and then there's like all the label crew and like all their girlfriends. Like we once a year we did like a label like holiday. Mm-hmm. And we went to Thailand this year.
What?
And, yeah. And there was like 30 of us basically in like one resort. We had the whole resort to ourselves. And like when you have 30 people together that like get along, like that's so rare. Like how does it happen? Like there was like minor
disagreements.
Yeah, disagreements, but like that was it. Like for the most part, like it was like everyone just got along so well, and it's like how I don't know. It's just weird. Like that could actually happen, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's like I think they're very selective with like the people that they bring onto the label, because not only for their music but like as a personality as well. Like you have to fit in, otherwise, you know. if you don't fit in, you probably won't last that long.
How did you meet 12th Planet?
I met him when he came to Australia as well. It's funny, like whenever there was any international artists touring Australia, I was like the go-to guy because I was like the only guy that in the city that kind of like
They
was
hit you
producing.
up, or did you? Hit
A bit of both. Like
Yeah.
it was mostly them hitting me up because like I think at that time like like these guys like knew my name and were playing my music. So then they knew I was from Australia. So then whenever they were coming through, they're like, "Oh, we should hang out." Because like, who else am I gonna hang with for like on my 5 days off? You know. So
Did
I
you
was like,
produce with them too?
yeah. So I actually ended up working with a lot of people through that. So it was actually like a really good way to like meet people and connect and actually start collaborating with like some of these like American artists. But 12th Planet came. What year was that? Probably like 2014 or 15, something like that. On a tour, and then we just hung out, and ever since then we've been like really good friends. And then we've toured together a bunch since then. We toured China together last year, and that was like, I think that's when we became like super tight because we're basically together for like 10 days straight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we went through some shit together for sure. We almost got arrested in China.
From what? I guess from literally anything you do.
For being foreigners, basically. Like, I don't get into the details of it, but like, yeah, that basically like bonded us as like, super good friends ever since that.
And did you realize that you had to move to LA to advance your career?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I had to move to America. Like, it didn't have to be LA, but like, it does have to be America because that's where like the market is. Like 90% of my shows are in America, so just being here makes all the difference. But the reason I chose LA is just because that's what all my friends are, and also because it's like a direct flight from Sydney as well.
Yeah.
So it's like if I wanted to go home, I could just get on a plane like any minute and be back home in like 12 hours kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
What's the inspiration behind Transcendency? Is that how you say it?
Transcendency?
Transcendency. I was like, I feel like I'm missing something.
Inspiration? Well, I think I just got to the point where I was like kind of sick of doing like the typical like 4 or 5 track like dubstep EP.
Yeah.
Where like there's way more to my music taste than just dubstep, where I like lots of different like genres. So I wanted to just do something a lot bigger where I could like kind of experiment and like show off like all the different styles that I like to listen to and produce. So yeah, like I kind of discussed it with between me and my manager and also the label, and we decided that it was about time for me to do an album, full-length album, because I'd already done 5 EPs before that and a bunch of singles and remixes and everything. Then I basically got to work on it, and it took me probably almost like close to a year to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like on and off, like start to finish, and like during that time I did like a bunch of other like remixes and singles and stuff like that in between as well. But yeah, it was basically just for me to kind of show what I'm all about, basically. Because yeah.
Are you a dad now?
Me? No.
Why did I thought I saw a photo of you and a little baby?
That's my dad's baby. that's my baby sister. That's the dad who hit you up about the interview. That's his new baby. Yeah. So that's my like half sister. Yeah.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, she's adorable.
And you could like crack every single bone in your body.
You've seen some other interviews, haven't you? Like, yeah, I can pretty much crack everything. It's great.
How did you realize that? Like, the one I'm like most curious about is like the spine, like all the spine.
Yeah, like I don't know how I even figured this out. Like I've been doing it since I was like a kid, and just I don't know, just crack things.
Does it mean you're flexible, or it's separate?
Probably like like some of my like limbs are like super like flexible, but like when it comes to like ligaments and stuff like that, with my legs are super tight.
Yeah.
But like the rest of my body's like pretty good. Like my fingers and stuff are like super flexible.
How do you say you've grown as a person compared to when you were younger?
Have I grown?
Yeah.
I'd like to hope that I've grown good. Yeah, I mean, like, I think every kid goes through their rebel stage when they're growing up, you know, during the teenage years or whatever. I think I had mine quite young, I like to think. I had mine when I was like 13, 14, 15, and then I think I started to mature a bit when I was like 16, 17. But I think a lot of that was helped by music as well. Like back then, it was basically when I picked up the guitar again, that's kind of when it all changed. Like, I started hanging with better people, like musicians, rather than just like, you know, bad people. And yeah, I think the music's kind of just like you meet a lot of like like-minded people, and generally people with like creative thought processes are just a lot like friendlier to be around, I guess. So I think that's kind of made me a better person.
Yeah. What do you say have been the biggest challenges in your life so far?
Oh God. I mean, moving overseas was probably the maybe one of the biggest. I don't know, because like it was a risk.
Yeah.
Because quitting my job to then.
True.
And then not knowing if this could work. I mean, like it's like looking back, it was like wasn't as big as I made it out to be. But like at the time when you're doing it, it's like holy shit, like this could be it. I just gave up my job for this kind of thing.
What does love mean to you?
Love?
Yeah.
Means it means you have some sort of really strong bond or connection with someone or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last question, what do you want to be remembered for?
I don't really care about being remembered for like myself, but like I hope people remember my music, I guess, at least. Yeah.
Well, this was so much fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.